Fam, welcome to Funding Billions with Fenoglio. Who am I kidding? Let's say funding millions now. It is 2022. My special guest, Adrian Webb. Adrian and I have actually never met, but I see his name on the leaderboard. I sent him an email and I said, let's do this. I haven't done an interview in like 8 months. He's like, absolutely, I'll jump in. And so this is actually our first time ever connecting. Adrian, where are you based out of?
Seattle area. Kirkland, Washington is our specific branch location, but yeah, Pacific Northwest.
Perfect. And how long have you been with our company?
Just over 5 years. So yeah, the longest I've ever been with any mortgage company is here. So I'm super
I like it. I mean, 5 years. It feels like a lifetime.
Right.
And so start us with, so what was it, 18-ish got going?
Mid-17, I started here, and then 2018 came over, or I guess kind of, really started, was my first full year. Did, volume-wise, I know it's kind of part of the show as far as funding billions or at least millions. Did like 31 million in 2018. Did 65 million in 2019. And then last couple of years did just over 100 million, like 101 and like 105 or whatever. So last couple of years, obviously, we've all been blessed with pretty impressive markets, but that's the rundown.
Yeah, definitely. We've been blessed with those nice little 2-year run of low rates. But what you did say was, so 18 to 19, you doubled your volume. And 19, if I recall, wasn't a rate decrease. It was kind of like we just kind of chugged along, had a little bit. What was the big change? How did you actually double from 18 to 19?
No, I appreciate it. Yeah. So 2018, 31 million back then, maybe, we lose track of what numbers are these days. It's all big stuff, but felt like I was working pretty hard, doing good, had a, assistant on my team and was looking to hire another person. And then in early January 2019, I actually lost my brother, 18-month different, really close to him. And that was something that kind of shook me into, am I really doing everything to bring it every day for my team, my company, my wife, just we are so blessed to be able to do what we do every day and be around amazing people in our office and stuff like that. So I went to kind of our executives here with, I'm burning the ships. This is the year. All those like, hey, I'm gonna do this. I don't want to overdo this or that. It was like, it doesn't matter. Like, well, I'm changing my business. I went to them with a plan to say, I've got one person on my team. How do I get to 2? And here's what I want to do. And here's my plan. And I laid it out and just got my region behind me with where I wanted to go in my business. And they were so supportive. And that year, I did Dunk Your Local Lender. I did events. I did a Easter egg hunt. I did everything. I did a happy hour and a loan over lunch in the same day sometimes. And I was always like, oh my gosh, you can't do too much. You can't do a happy hour. You can't do a loan over lunch. You got to space it out. I was like, no excuses. I just increased my activity level by 10 and was able to really, build. I was going to open houses, just anything I could do to get in front of agents and grow my business.
You were just doing whatever it took, right? You were just, yeah. I got to get my name out there. I got to work on it. I got to go full force. I mean, kind of like,
you know how it is. Obviously, building a business is like, for a bit, they don't know who you are. And then you just start to kind of get some momentum and then just kind of keep running with it from there.
Yeah. It's kind of like what we're at right now, right? We're in 2022 and we didn't have to do any of those activities the last 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. We didn't really have to. The phone just rang and we were more stressed out about, can we get back to someone in time? And now it's like, we just came to a cliff and you're like, okay, now what do I do? Right. And so what are you doing now? What are you back to those basic activities? What are you seeing that's driving you success right now?
Awesome question. I mean, when the pandemic happened, I had built my whole business around events and get people together. So I had built Dallas on our virtual summit. We did all these, we quickly turned to virtual and did all that stuff, but you miss so much of that face-to-face interaction. So this year, as much as people are like, gosh, rates are up, I love it. I do happy hours. I do them back to loan over lunches. I'm going to open houses. I'm doing all those things that built the business back in 2019. But I don't have to wear a mask, right? Like the benefit of us being able to just open things up again and not worry about showing a vaccine card and all the stuff that happens, I feel it's like fantastic. So we've always been very, very purchase driven. We never lost sight of that. I'd pick up 4 or 5, refis just because we could when the market was there for it. But I've always been over 80% purchase. So we're, we just, we're over 50 million right now on kind of our volume. So we're down a little bit, but nothing compared to probably some other people that maybe weren't focusing on the purchase side of the business.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, you're at 50 million year to date and you average 100 million the last 2 years. That's incredible. You don't even want to know where I'm at. I'm living like a cliff depth.
I'm still behind you. I know that. So you're still crushing it. Absolutely.
Barely. I'm hanging in there. So it's interesting though, right? Back to the basics or what driving you. That's pretty cool. And that's kind of where, like, honestly, it's what I'm doing. I'm like hosting some real estate panel and, 7 days. And I was asked to do it. And I was like, yeah, sure. How many realtors would be there? Oh, 250. Perfect. Can I be the guest? Can I be the main speaker? What do you guys want to talk about? Right. You would have asked me to do this since, I don't know, 2016. I'd be like, I'm too busy for that stuff. Now I'm like, sure, I'll do it. I actually did a first-time homebuyer class with an agent. It was so funny. I feel like it was like February or January this year.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you know what? I got to touch up on my public speaking. Let me get out there. She had a really good turnout. We had like 20 families show up, and I don't know, poured 3 hours into it, and I had a fun time. And what I'm learning is like all these people miss that interaction. They miss the belly to belly. They miss the lunches, right? And so I think that's something like I know everyone's moving to the social media digital world. You got to put content out there, which I totally hate it, but I'm doing it full face, just jump in. I don't even know if it's working. I have no idea, but I'm trying it.
Right.
But I will tell you, I still think belly to belly is the number one thing. What do you got? Microsoft Teams on right there? I heard a little.
Yeah. The team reaching out to me.
Yeah. You'd be, hold on. I'm on Funding Millions. Relax.
Right.
So, but I think that's where I'm seeing the belly to belly is really like still more, bang for my buck, I guess you would say, right? Social media, we got to be out there. We got to be kind of in that. So talk to me. How is social media game? Are you doing any of it, or where are you like, I don't want any part of it?
I am doing a bit of it. So I do social media enough to promote our events and then have follow up and things like that. I mean, I have Instagram. I don't really do much with it. I've got, I'm TikTok, not a thing, right? So I do a little bit of Facebook. So social media is by far not a huge pillar of my business, although we want to do more of that, and that's probably an opportunity that we're missing out on. But the old school, man, picking up the phone, just calling people, going to offices, going to open houses, just getting in front of them. I mean, there's agents I work with that I've worked with them for years, and I go by 3 months. I'm like, shoot, I have not seen them face to face. I'll text them, are you an open house this weekend? I'll just stop by, bring them some lunch, and just stay connected, right? So I feel like the social media stuff is really important, and a lot of people get a lot of traction with it if they do it well. I haven't done it, super well, but I think that if you just kind of stick to the basics, you're going to be okay. And then of course, if you can layer that on, I think it's important, and we'll probably do that. I do a whole lot of video though. Everything is kind of bomb videos and getting in front of people that way, and interacting with clients over Zoom or face to face, and then following up with video. I won't send a rate sheet or quote or mortgage coach without a video with it, because I think that connection is super important. Explaining how the process works with regard to rates and locking in the market is important. So we do a lot of video to stay relevant, but not a ton of social media stuff.
Yeah. And I love Mortgage Coach. I use it all the time. I think it's great. I actually don't do the videos yet. I know a couple of guys in my office, they just do a really good job with it. But the fact that I'm a dinosaur and I'm using it and I love it, it's great. I do like, I got a little different spin. I'll send them the Mortgage Coach and I'll be like, hey, jump on a call and I'll walk you line through line this. But also I see Nick Hogue in my office. He does the videos and the arrows, and I'm like, man, that's so good. And he probably doesn't get rate shop as much as I do, right? So you guys might have something with that. The Mortgage Coach with the bomb video. I just did a couple bomb videos to the office, like, it was fun. I was like, this is cool, and I started recording some stuff and sending it to people. It is what it is. I'm embracing it. Like you said, I think it's just a layer. I really don't think it's the end all. Right. I think you got to be doing belly to belly. You got to build those relationships. It's just a layer, an extra layer. And I don't
Yep.
think it has to be as much time as a lot of people
Mhm.
think you do. I think I follow a bunch of people on Instagram. I see what they did and I basically steal it. Right? I'm not gonna lie. And
Yeah.
I even tell them too. I even tell them, I go, hey, I saw this. Can I hold on, my phone's ringing. Can I saw this. This looks great. I'm gonna kind of steal some of it or all of it. And usually whoever I'm following, they are like, I don't care.
Yeah, no, exactly. But like I said, and you don't know though what activity is going to resonate with somebody, because I do maybe 4 or 5 Facebook videos, get very little interaction, and then I do a quick like simple texting just in Facebook about the Fed funds rate and what happens, and then I've got all these agents sharing, and I'm like, I do these great videos, but they don't get the same traction. So it's just being like, I think, consistent and finding out what resonates with certain people. But obviously, just having those activities. And the other thing, one thing I did too, and I don't suggest this, but in 2019, I wanted to get more in front of people and be a part of the community. So you had asked me, I bought an Irish pub back in late 2019 or mid 2019. And it is, and now we've been remodeling. We're like 3 weeks from opening. But our community I'm in Snoqualmie. It's like kind of near the mountains. It's a really small group and there's not a ton of places up there. So like I'll do anything on talking about how we're hiring for that or when that's opening. We have 800 interactions, or a article comes out and there's 4,500 clicks. Like it's a way to get involved in the community. And I think that whether it's mortgage stuff or, like I said, I did a dunk your local lender at the 4th of July thing, just showing that you're actively a part of and grateful for your community is, I think, it's super important. And then obviously we have our home access program, which I've been leveraging that to get in with some companies and all that. And again, what resonates, right? So some agents could care less about the home access program. Other ones just love the fact that I do a client appreciation event that they can invite their clients to. Those kind of things. It's just finding out what's going to resonate, but just having the activity is the thing that I found to be the most important.
Yeah, and it sounds like it. You're doing amazing and your numbers show it. Yeah, it's just literally putting yourself out there and diving into the community. I love it. I could take some of this. I should do a little bit more of that stuff. But yeah, I love that. What about any coaching? Have you done any coaching in the last 5 years? And if
So
so,
I'm in the core coaching
okay.
level 3 program. Yeah, so I've been doing
Okay.
that for the last 3 years now.
How do you like that?
I like it. It's good. I mean, I don't need it for the accountability because I hold myself really accountable already. But some of the tactics and really just being around that group. So, I went to the first summit and I was like, yeah, I close 6 loans a month, and they're like, what do you do with the rest of your time? Like that's not good. I'm like, oh, it's just like that whole thing. Like, so 6 loans a month, that's not good. And then you see guys doing 20 or 25, and it's just that whole like there's another level that you want to get to, and that was a really important thing for me, because then you've got Rick Ruby telling you just to be an average LO you got to be doing 75 million. I'm like, oh, I'm better than average. So I think it was more of just that camaraderie around people that are really always pushing and trying to be better and improving daily that I find to be the most valuable there. And then you get some great tactics and just like I said, kind of being a part of the community there, but just getting an idea of like that next level. And then like we have our leaderboard, and then the core puts out their leaderboard, and I'm like, okay, like let's try and move up that ladder. So it's just another
Little
thing.
competition, friendly competition.
Right, which I enjoy. Yeah.
What would you suggest to someone brand new in the industry? Like, what would you say to them today? What are you gonna do? Right.
Man, so when I first I was on a team, and then when I went out on my own was 2017 was my first year kind of on my own. I didn't have a team around me. I kind of had to build. So I woke up at 4:30 in the morning every day, and I worked till 7 o'clock. And people are like, well, what'd you do at 4:30? I'm like, I found things to do. I knew that there was a email campaign I wanted to do, or a letter to a database, or kind of supporting realtors, or doing an event, or doing videos. So the only thing I did is I grinded. I mean, I got up at 4:30 for 7 years, and I still get up early. Like now I'm like, oh, I really sleep in until 5:30 or 6, the latest. But I haven't done the 4:30 thing for a bit. But I did it for really just 7 years, and that included weekends. I got up super early and just always found the next thing so I'd do a business plan, see what that next thing is, and then try and implement it as much as possible. But I think activities for a new agent, whether that's going to open houses, or whether that's or you get on a team like yours, Chris, and then leverage the team's success until you have some of your own, and then you can kind of go out on your own. So I was lucky to leverage a team before and then build up some relationships and go from there. But you got to kind of have a roadmap, and I think you have to have a way to kind of separate yourself a little bit. And of course, our company with our ops and the things that we can do product wise is, a huge part of kind of what we're able to do too.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, my number one suggestion is find a team, right? Find an old dog that wants to train you, but also be willing to do the hard stuff. For me, right? Weekends are tough for me. I got 3 kids and we're in sports and we do the weekend warrior. I go, who are you going to call on Saturday, Sunday? And, it used to be a pain to get an LO to do it. Now I got them lined up. They're like, I'll take a weekend, right? I go, because that's really the activities. The activities are like weekends are what happens. But once you made it, like people know who you are and you're like, hey, I'm available 24/7. You need a letter. We were cranking, like getting a lot of deals on Saturdays and Sundays because the banks don't call their people back and online lenders are hard to get a hold of. And people still want that human connection. They still want that human person, and being there is huge. And so my suggestion is always find the busiest person in the office or the second busiest and say, I'll take anything you don't want to do.
Right. It's smart.
And then the other thing is learning stuff, Cal FHA, right? You don't have that. You guys might have some kind of program, but we have some kind of down payment assistance. It's a first, second, third. In 2007, right? The whole market comes to a crash. And my goal was to learn it. And I started doing it. And so, 7, 8, and 9, I did a bunch of Cal FHA loans and I became the expert. And I got invited to go talk at real estate events with other lenders that were they were a lot more successful than me. And I was younger and I was like, well, let me talk to you about this program because I know those guys don't want it. Right.
Yeah. And you found a niche and then you found a way to capitalize on it. So you can, then you're like, eventually like, I don't want to do this anymore because you've
I don't even want to do it anymore. We have a guy in our office that's like the expert now. We just forward all up to him. He's so busy. He's like 400 leads. He's like, holy cow. And I'm like, yeah, because no one wants them.
Right. That's smart. Oh, that's so smart. Yeah. Find that niche, grind it out, work until you kind of don't necessarily need to still do it. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So that works. All right. What do you do? Any campaign marketing emails? Do you do any text marketing? Are you doing anything out in the marketplace that you think's unique that we need to be doing?
I have the same campaign stuff through Total Expert that goes out. I do have an automated thing for pre-approved clients that doesn't look automated. So an email will go out and then an automated text message will say, hey, I just shot you an email, take a look at it. So it's pretty good. I've talked about this with Tim Rowan to see if Total Expert could do it, and we're not there yet. But it's really good just because it keeps us in front of it. And we do market updates with our TBD clients. We call them, but just an extra touch of like I have 7 videos that go out that talks about like earnest money and what the appraisal is and all just educational stuff. So we never have a client say, well, I didn't know. Or if they do, I say, well, remember this email. Again, there's a lot of emails, I get it, but we've gone through and educated them the whole time. It just covers us and it gives them just another touch and some information so that they understand the process. And it's too much to learn all at once. So it's just a drip campaign that goes out to all of our pre-approved clients. That's probably the most kind of automated thing we do. And then we have our normal, realtor updates and other stuff that we do. But again, back to the basics, like calling our people all the time and staying engaged and adding value with what's going on in the market and when it's a good time to lock or why that might be or what's going on in the bond market or what happened to the Fed. We just want to be that resource both for our agents and clients at the same time.
Got it. What products do you sell? What are you selling right now that you think people are missing the boat on? What are you like?
We don't do anything too far outside the box anymore. Your normal conventional stuff, FHA, some VA. Cable car right now is a pretty good product for the jumbo stuff. We've got mostly we kind of go through different strategies and why like down payment or what 3% versus 5%, all that stuff. But we don't have any products that I think most of the LOs would a total. The flex programs I've looked at is just so hard. It's tough for those because it's almost like you should just wait the 6 months till you're more on a more conventional program, just where that one's priced right now. Not that we don't give them the option, We did close one just a couple weeks ago, so we do a bit of it, but it's just those ones that are in a risk averse market. It's harder to take the riskier products because they get priced out so far.
Yeah.
So we kind of stay fairly close to the the standard niche stuff that are conventional stuff that people are familiar with.
Yeah, I mean, doing a bank statement loan right now, and I don't know, let's just use a rate of 7.75 or 8%. It's a gut check, and you're seeing a lot more people go, I'm gonna wait.
Right.
But it's scripts, right? It's overcoming it. It's, hey, you want to buy this $1 million house, you're going to show $200,000 in income. You're going to pay, in California, you're going to pay 13% in state, and you're going to pay 32% here. So you're going to write $96,000 check on 200 grand in income,
Right.
or your payments $1,100 higher a month.
Yep.
Like, it's
That's
just trying to
perfect.
show them that, but
Literally the one, yeah, you're right. The one we just closed was based on not paying a whole lot of taxes and going bank statement.
right.
And I'm like, it's rare that this pencils out to be better for you, but it 100% is. And that's it's awesome to have those products in those situations. You're exactly right, because that we can speak to them in those terms, and it's like,
Yeah.
this is actually a better program than you paying an extra 150 grand in taxes or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is a niche for them. It's just when the rates were 4, it was a lot easier to 4.75. You're like, no big deal, right? Well,
Right.
now you're at 7 or 8 and you're seeing a huge pause. What are you seeing in your market? Are you seeing price reductions? Are you seeing buyers pause? What is the feel? What are the troops on the ground feeling?
Yeah, so
wise?
I mean, probably similar, maybe not quite as much as California, but and I'm licensed in California, so I do some of that too. But we've got more inventory, right? Some buyers on the sidelines, people kind of waiting because their stocks are down and they're just not sure what's going to happen. But the nice thing is, and I tell our first-time home buyers this, and also like we had a VA buyer go under contract at 490,000, all closing costs covered, 0 down, and that same townhouse was 580, 3 months ago. And it's like, yeah,
So 100
his
grand, almost 100 grand reduction.
rate's a little higher, but you got 100 grand off, and you got all your closing costs. So that 0 down VA buyer would not have gone under contract 4 months ago. So I much prefer this market because our buyers have an opportunity. The first-time home buyers, we do a lot of first-time home buyer stuff. It's so much better if you want to buy a house and you're motivated, and we can show you the financial gain of doing so, and then how we're going to kind of plan that next loan 18, 24 months from now. And I send them Barry Habib stuff. I'm like, look, I'm so confident rates are coming down. You've got to get in now, because I think I'm telling you, 3 months from now, I think it's going to be a seller's market again. Now, we don't have that much inventory. There's way more buyers on the sidelines, in my opinion, than what inventory is. That's going to get absorbed fairly quickly. So it's really just like I tell my agents, get them in touch with me. I can walk them through why this is like the best opportunity. I do like cheesy videos that says huge opportunity, and I'm like, you need to know why this is such a huge. Back in 2017, we had the same thing happen. Rates went up, inventory all of a sudden, and I talked about Ray Dalio, like the people that are can step away from the fear and act and make a good financial decision. Those people that bought in 2017, some of those houses are double, right? So they've gone up by 2. So it's really just we have the same thing as most markets, where there's a little more inventory, people on the sidelines, but we just try and continue to educate them on why this is such a great opportunity.
Yeah, we saw this July of 17. We saw 3.875 go to almost 5 in December.
Yeah.
The housing market probably went down 10% nationwide. But 10% from what? Well, it went 10% from, June, May numbers. And then after that, you did right after that, then it just skyrocketed again. So It's just one of those things that, like right now, awesome time to buy.
Yep.
We're talking about sellers buying down, there was a cute little thing on Instagram and stuff. Everyone's like, marry the house, date the rate.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
No. Marry the house and marry the rate. Let me show you how. Right.
Right.
And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, price reductions are everywhere. Homes are sitting on the market for 30 days.
Yep.
The sellers are freaking out. I go, instead of asking for another 50 grand off, go in the house for 20 grand in closing costs, and let me show you what I could buy this rate down. And if we're right and rates do come down again, great, just refi at that time. But if I'm wrong and rates kind of just level off and they land in the 4.5 range, and I already get you in the 4.5, what do you have to lose? You know what I mean? It's just the way you position it. and
That's
you gotta
exactly
be
right.
the buyer, right?
I love that. Yeah, we look at kind of that buy down. We say, hey, we don't want to be overly invested in this loan, but we also want that payment to be comfortable. Because what if rates don't come down in 18
Yeah.
months? What if everybody's wrong? You've got to make sure that that monthly payment is going to be okay. So we buy it down a bit. Maybe we don't pay 3 points to get it way down where you're kicking yourself in 18 months when rates are lower, but we definitely want to have it in a reasonable
Right.
place where
Yeah. Yeah,
everything's
I
got
mean,
to
it
buy
doesn't
down.
make, yeah, I think a 1 point, 1.5 point buy down, we get the seller to kick in, we get it, we're fine,
Yep.
right? Like I said, I did a Instagram story where I didn't even know how it's possible. They were locked in with 6 points. And I'm like, one, how do you pass all the tests, right? Like this thing is, I was like, this thing ain't gonna close.
Right.
You can't charge them with 6 points, but it's
Right.
just one of the things where I see some crazy stuff. Now, what about when you do see, like, when you do get rate shopped, do you get the LEs from the other lenders and just pick them apart, or where are you on that? Because right now I just get LEs sent at me all day, like, hey, I found a lower rate. And for my market, what pisses me off is title and escrow. We have a title and escrow company, like you have an
Yep.
escrow company and title company, and on $1 million purchase is probably 8 grand. Okay.
Right.
But people are putting $500 for escrow and $1,000 for title. And I sit there and I'm like, oh my gosh, right? And buyers just look at the bottom line and they're like, oh, your fees are, and I have to get the good thing I have really good partners and agents, and
Right.
their agents are like, no. And I'm like, call this escrow and title company right now and get their fees. And
Yep.
then the other big thing for me is property taxes. Like when
Okay.
you get out of state lenders that
Yeah.
don't know, they don't use the property taxes what it's gonna be. They're
Right.
using what the seller's property taxes are.
Yep.
So they'll go
Yep.
back to my agent and go, hey, he has the same rate, same fees, but my payment's higher with him.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, let me,
Yeah.
and it's education and process and
Right.
being patient, but it's a war. So how do you handle this?
Yeah, I mean, similar to what you said is we educate them. We talk to them about what our value is and how the online out of state lenders that don't have the reputation that we would have. Now you may end up, and again, it's harder in this market because they're the only offer. They're not competing against 3 or 4. It's a lot easier to add your value in those situations. But when I basically have them compare, they say, hey, do you match other lenders? I say, well, nobody matches what we can do. We are a competitive company. I'm happy to take a look at whatever else you find out there. And then if they send it to me and they're willing to kind of work, like all things being equal, we want to work with you. If they're just like, oh, I just want the lowest rate, I just send them on their way because that's just not the client that I want. It's not our business. And even if we had the sharpest rate out there, it's still, we're not adding any value in that situation. So I pick and choose the clients that we want to really go to bat for. And then again, we kind of obviously talk about our difference, and matching rates is not something that, people don't match our experience and our ability to serve you, and our ability to kind of use our relationships that we've built over the last 10 years in this market to really help your offer get accepted. And that's for the price. Like they may take an out-of-state lender, but they're not going to give them the same maybe seller credit they would because they're still not sure if it's going to close. So basically, it's a case by case scenario where if it's something where it's a like-minded local company we're competing against, we'll go to bat for that. If it's PNC Bank and they only care about the rate, it's we're not going to get those ones. And we'll still try and serve them and tell them the differences. But sometimes if it's 0.5%, they're willing to take the risk. So it's a tough market. We definitely don't retain all of them, but we retain a high percentage, which is the key.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and I'm always like, hey, let's double app. Let's see what happens, especially if they're complicated, right? There's always
Yeah.
ones that are super complicated. And I'm like, there is no way this bank is going to look this way and underwrite it this way to close your loan. So there's always those. It's just when they're super clean and they got a lot of money, you're like, okay, right? I mean, what do? You're like, do I waste the pre-approval and time, or just say, look, you're way better off?
Right. And sometimes I'll say, hey, send me your best quote, and I'll just give you an
honest.
unbiased, honest, hey, if that's a great deal. Otherwise, they, like you said, if we see that the taxes are wrong, or if they didn't add in the right stuff and they're just making it look nice and fluffy and good,
Yeah.
or the Quickens or the Rockets of the world, they have a 3.5 point buy down to get a certain rate, and the consumer only sees that rate. I'm like, well, we could charge you 3.5 points if you want as well, but that's not the strategy that I would recommend, right? So we'll poke holes in it and try and again retain as many as we can. But there's definitely it is a tougher market to add that value.
Yeah, no, and it's hard because sometimes they go and you're like, oh, give me something. And then they come back and go, I was getting 4.25 or no points. And he came back and it has 3 points. And I'm like, but the good news is when they do come back, that's when you can win them. It's just if they don't come back and you're like, and then they come back to you after they close and they're like, yeah, I got totally hosed. And I'm like, I told you.
Right. Right. No, exactly right. I know. And then, like you said, just keep doing good business and we'll get our share and run a reputable kind of team here. So that's kind of the goal.
Nice. What are your realtors feeling? What are they like? What are they doing in the market that's different from the rest of them?
Oh, I mean, there's still the ones that are being active. They're doing the open houses, as many activities as they can. I had a home access learn over lunch with Scott Harris just recently. I had 25 agents show up because they're looking for those pillars and ways to kind of get more leads in. They understand that ability to do that with a program that goes to employers. So they're just they're struggling. They're looking for anything. I work with some, the top agents are still going to be the top agents in any market. So about a year ago, I was kind of been working with, it's called Real Producers Magazine or whatever. So I have a lot of those agents that are still getting their deals. Obviously, there's less of them, but they're staying busy. So I've been kind of aligning with as many of the top agents as possible, knowing that they're the ones that will kind of rise to the top in this market. And then there's still the new ones that are out there grinding, doing open houses. They're getting us enough deals to kind of keep us busy, and then they'll build their business. But it's same thing, kind of case by case. Some agents are taking August, they took July and August off because they're just like, hey, I've been grinding for a couple of years. So some of our agents are just taking a breath and taking a chance to relax a little bit too. So
that's tough. They're tough, right? It's one of those things. So what happens? What's your rebuttal to buyers that say, hey, I just saw home prices drop $100,000. I'm going to wait because I think it's going to come down more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just had this one yesterday. So I always tell them you can never time the market, right? You can think that you're timing the market, but if you feel like prices are going to come down, again, this is a 3, 5, 10-year investment. I'm letting you know, if you wait a month or 2 months, rates are going to come down, buyers are going to come back in, and now all of a sudden your prices are pushed up the other way, and it happens very quickly. So just know that you can never time it perfectly. Right now, you have a great opportunity to get under contract on this home. If it goes down 10 grand or 15 grand, so what, right? But what you need to protect yourself against is when it goes up 50 or 100 grand, because that's the next thing that happens. And it was only 4 months ago that was happening. So don't get yourself stuck, because it will happen before you can actually do anything about it. So it's just one of those things, again, educating them on the opportunity that we have and letting them know that, can never perfectly time it. If that was the case, everybody would be, multimillionaires. It's just the idea of taking what's in front of you now as the huge opportunity, and then knowing that you're going to be good over a longer period. But never kick yourself over like timing it exactly right, because then you're gonna lose in that scenario if you try and do too much of that.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great, it's kind of what I say. I was like, you can never time this thing, right? But you can, position yourself where you can go into escrow. Now, in some areas we're seeing multiple offers. We're seeing 7, 8, 9 home, you know what I mean? It really,
the right houses are right. Exactly.
Right. The right houses are, and it's hyper local. All right. You may have, where the area I live in, there's nothing listed in the 250 homes I live in. Down the street, we call them the number streets in Huntington Beach. Those are, beaches, PCH and the beach, and there's number streets. There's 40 homes listed. Right. But it's more of a party scene. It's more of like, you don't want to raise your kids there, right? They'll get killed by the traffic. So it's just, I always tell people, it depends where where the buyers want to go, right? That's a great place when the kids move out and you kind of want to walk down to Main Street and you want to be part of that. That's where we see the older crowd move to. The other crowd, they want to move into the cul-de-sac where they're protected and they can walk their kids to school and they have a park. Like, you're seeing younger families want this area versus that. And that's what's interesting is, you're seeing stuff where I'm like, well, same city, same zip code, but this pocket of homes,
wow,
you're gonna go on the market and there's 10 people. This market of homes, you can do whatever you want.
Right. Okay.
There's 40 of them. go write an offer on all 40. One of them is going to work with you. So it's
Right.
super hyper local right now is what I
Yeah.
tell everyone. And so that's what I'm seeing in the market. Any other comments that you want to talk to FAMLOs or give them some advice?
No, I mean, I think the only thing I would say is, this is kind of a time where people are always thinking the grass is greener somewhere else, and that's why there's a lot of movement in our industry. I feel so lucky with where we are and our support and our ops and our ability to kind of go out there and do what we do daily, which is why I said I've been here for over 5 years. I haven't found anything like it. And like I said, there's always something that seems better or different or all those shiny objects. And I think just keep your head down, work through this market, keep grinding and do the activities, and that's all we can control, right? So we've just shut off any of that whole recruitment stuff, or again, it is tough because everybody feels like our rates are everybody's going to have a different rate idea or perspective, but it's all going to be the same. Whenever if you go somewhere else, you're still trying to close loans, and everybody's got pricing and ops and all the things that they need.
There's nothing that's perfect out there.
Right.
It's only green where you water it.
You
Right.
got it exactly
Only
right.
green
I
where
love
you
that.
water it. So yeah, and then that we see that. Any other questions? Questions for me?
I guess when you're building up, what's your team look like? I've always kind of been curious how you run that and then how you manage your team.
Oh, what did the team look like, and what's the team look like today? Let's say today, right?
Okay.
Today's team is one assistant helps input loans, one processor that I share with everyone else again, and then I have what I call an ISA role, an internal salesperson that does a lot of my follow-up, right?
Mhm.
Does a lot of my runs my Calendly, runs all my stuff and sets my appointments and makes sure I'm on schedule, and then does really accountability. Holds
Mhm.
me accountable. Hey, what happened with that borrower on Wednesday that so-and-so referred you? Does a lot of my database management, and then follows up on reviews, follows up on all that stuff. So really my team is essentially three. One, the follow-up person,
Yep.
assistant who inputs and helps me get all my loans dialed and make sure I'm not moving too fast. That person now is working for three other LOs.
Yeah.
When they used to only work for me.
All right.
My processor, I used to have two because I had to
Yeah.
split both loans,
All right.
who has me plus three other people. So we're combining forces. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah, I love that.
So that's what the team's looking like right at this moment. And then I got a couple junior LOs that work on weekends for me, and we have some kind of comp agreement between them. But they're in the same boat with me. They're out hunting. They're
That's
not,
awesome.
the team Finolio doesn't have 500 leads anymore. Right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're grinding every
I
single
like it.
day. We're grinding together
Yep.
and really going after it. So it is great. I know these markets are funky and people have fear come in their mind, and I get excited and I'm like, this is opportunity. People are just going to quit. They're going to take their ball and go home.
Yep.
And then that agent that I've been trying to get forever, something's going to happen,
Mhm.
and that's it. And I will tell you, there's a big producer in my area who is freaking out, where we share relationships, where they're huge real estate teams. We're both preferred lenders, and this person is on freak out mode. And
Mhm.
the two teams I talked to, their head persons came to me and go, look, we kind of want to work with you only. Your energy, you're positive, our agents like you. This other person is telling us that we need to change our business. They're not going to get enough loans from us. And they're really pushing us and not, coming from a fear-based, which
Mhm.
is, we don't like this. And this person's well known, 20 years in the business. So
Wow.
it's kind of and I'm super laid back about stuff. I'm like, we'll be fine. Relax, right? Stop.
Just be
I'm like,
consistent. Yep.
turn off your phone, because if you ever watch Social Dilemma, whatever, that Netflix, where you have a phone and they just
Oh,
feed you
right.
information,
Yep.
right? I go, that's what's happening. You type in mortgage crash, you're going to
Right.
read all about a mortgage crash. You
Yeah.
type in housing's going up, you're going to read about how values are going up.
Right.
Your phone is the devil. It's going to
Yeah. Whatever you look
your
for, you
brain
will
to
find.
whatever.
It just depends on what you look for. Yeah. I love
Yeah,
that.
whatever you look for is going to affirm it, right?
Yeah.
It's just going to tell you this is what you're thinking. So I
That's
always just
awesome.
tell people, ignore it. Ignore the noise, keep your head
Mhm.
down, stay focused.
I
So
love that. That's cool. Yeah, that's a great advice.
yeah. Cool. Adrian, it was great finally meeting you. So at the next event, come up and say hi. 5 years and we've never like crossed paths. I think I've seen you like cruise by.
Right. Same idea. I think I saw you at the pool or whatever, but ever like,
Right. And I'm like, I know that person. I seen his face on the leaderboard. Is that so-and-so? So, hey, it was awesome.
I'll shake your hand next time we're at an event for sure.
Yeah. And this is cool because, you know, it's our first one, funding millions, right? So we're changing.
Yeah.
All
New
right.
show.
Adrian, have a good one. Finance America LOs. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the next one. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Appreciate you.